Alright, so this is color iteration 1. So this week, what we're going to be, it'll come to me, the word. What we're going to be practicing this week, what fundamental, is color. And this is an interesting one. We're just going to be doing pretty simple stuff this week because I don't really know a whole lot and it's difficult to be able to paint with colors when you already don't really know how to paint that well. So I also apologize because I'm sick right now, but I'm going to get through this. We can do it together. So I've provided this article that it goes over and talks about the basics of color theory if you don't already know what they are. I'm assuming you know the very bare bones, like what are colors basically. It also has pretty good stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to practice taking color schemes and applying them to either our own art or art from other people. And we're just going to be practicing on finding good color schemes that work together. We're going to just be using flat colors this week because that's pretty simple. And it's I don't want to overcomplicate it because I've never done this before. And especially if you haven't, it's probably not a good idea to jump in with a ton of crazy stuff. So you can read through this to get through if you don't have a basic understanding of different attributes of colors and stuff. And it also has really good examples of different types of color combinations. Like this common ones. This is analogous, where there's very close together colors, and it has a nice example of that. Where there's monochromatic, which is just one color, which grayscale images are monochromatic. This is very monochromatic, very purpley. Triads, we have one on each, or you have one in each, or not each, three different colors that are on the color wheel, as you can see. You got complementary, which is, green and red, like Christmas and stuff. Halloween, or not Halloween. That's a pretty common one, complementary. I myself haven't really heard about the square one, but that's a pretty interesting one. It makes for some weird stuff. I mean, I definitely wouldn't use that all the time, but it could be an interesting one to play with and see if it works. This is another squarish one. And split complementary, yeah, that's one that's one of the ones I want to use. Whereas I'm not going to necessarily use. I'm going to do a split complement. Look, that's what I want. This I can't freaking talk. This is one color scheme I want to practice specifically, but with two colors, like for example, red and blue, because or purple and orange, or not, it's not that one. Purple and yellowy orange. Like those are like a little bit of a split complementary, but with just two colors, where it's not a complete complementary, which would be what, purple and yellow, I think, but is like a purple and orange, not like a bluey purple, but it's a little more interesting, I think. And of course, you can try it with three colors if you wish. And analogous, which is pretty similar to the last one. One thing I do want to mention that's not in this article that I thought was pretty interesting that I learned from a paid resource that I'm not allowed to share, but it's from Art School for Digital Artists. But one thing he said um, is you have one primary color that is the most saturated, and it's like your lead color. And if you have any other colors that are as saturated as that, like you want to have one color that stands out that's the most saturated and is the most present color. It's not necessarily the most used color, but it's the most saturated, the most obvious color, if that makes sense. And it what that does is if you have too many, like you're supposed to have, not supposed to, but if you generally keep just one of those, it works a lot better from what I've seen in people's artworks. The exception would be like when you look at children's books and stuff. There's lots of many saturated colors. We'll see if I can find an example. Children show, I guess. I don't know, but you can generally see how there's lots of just like really saturated, like these creepy Teletubbies or whatever those things are. Foot is caught in this. But where you can see these are all really saturated colors. All four of these are saturated colors. Whereas typically you might just choose the yellow and then take those other three and bring them down in saturation. That way the yellow is your primary color. Because if you oversaturate the others, it's usually too much, unless you're doing it for something specific. Just from my understanding. So that's one thing I wanted to share. So yeah, we're going to be using flat colors. And what I'm going to do is either you can do it on your own artwork, or like what I'm going to do is like you can just search something like you can just search generic line art, go to the images tab, and just like pick something that stands out to you. Maybe it's a character or whatever, and just fill it in with those colors you chose, and play around with different colors and different ways you bring those colors in. Like maybe I'll make the whiskers, I don't know, red, and I'll have the rest of them blue with these little things purple. I don't know, something like that. Obviously don't claim the artwork as your own. Give credit to whoever you're doing artwork you're doing of, but what I'm gonna do is that's how I'm gonna find stuff. Just you can grab it, print it out, or something. That way you're not focusing more on line art. You're more focusing on the colors, and there's plenty of stuff available you can find to. There's plenty of line work you can use just to practice that color specifically this week. So that's what I'm going to be doing this week, and let's go ahead and do an example. So if I get this all set up, let's see. That one is where you are. Right, nice. Okay. Get this out here. So if I take this night dude, and pull him out, or view file, whatever. Whoops. Bring it to my iPad somehow if I can figure out how. There we go. What? Wait, what? What is happening? Let's throw in this, insert a photo. There we go. Okay. Pitch canvas, whatever. So now if I choose some colors, now I want to do something like a complementary or a split complementary, where it's not quite 100% complementary color. So let's go with a nice teal maybe, and the opposite of this would be like an orangey red. So we'll just bring that over to one of the other sides. So we're going to go with teal a nice saturated teal because it's our primary color. Different layer. And I'm going to go with an orange. So teal and orange, but less saturated orange. And I'm going to see how well these two colors work together within the context of this guy. So maybe his, we're just going to use flat colors too. So maybe his, make his tunic the more, what's the right blending mode for this? Because this is not multiply, yeah, multiply, okay. So this tunic will be blue. And this is just an example. I mean, obviously it's an example. I don't know what I was going to say with that, but if I just feel out these colors, how they work together on this guy's artwork. This loin thing. I feel like that'd be hard to fight in. I feel like it'd always get in the way or something. Alright. And then all this. Maybe like his sigil will be the orange. Or we'll make his collar orange, I don't know. Might even be able to play with colors that are close to these. So like you can darken them or desaturate them a little more, maybe. But the idea is just to play around with different colors. Feel for what works, what doesn't. Maybe I'll even throw in a metal color in here for his armor. I don't know what all this is. I'm just coloring it anyway. Oops. So let's grab this orange. Put that for his sigil, the swords. His swordgil. Haha. Good one, Jaden. Good one. I know, I'm hilarious. Thanks. Yeah. And this is... Yes, okay. So, I mean, that works pretty good. I think the colors, that is. I think if I add in another, like a more, maybe I play off this blue, but it's more metallic-y in here somewhere. A cool gray for like his armor. And just playing around with colors, see how they work in this context, this color text. Even throw on filters after to see if something else would work better maybe. So yeah, I mean those feel pretty cool. And maybe his pants can be orange. Let's see how that works. This is by no means like any advanced like color theory. This is just to get the bare bones basic understanding of how we can apply it, and also you can like look at how other people do it, like the masters create cool characters and stuff, how they go about choosing their color schemes and palettes and stuff. But what I'm going to be doing for this first weekend, this first iteration, I should say, is I'm just trying to get a basic understanding of the different types of color palettes and creating or getting an affinity for how I can create or come up with my own color palettes that work decently. Orange pants are interesting. Not very practical if you're trying to hide in the battlefield, but who needs to hide? Yeah, I feel like this orange is still pretty saturated. So that may have been one thing I could have done a little better, desaturated a little more. Yeah, see, that already feels better to me, I think, if I desaturate it. Because it's not as pungent. Anyway, so yeah, that's what I'm going to be practicing, is on this. I'll be coloring different things, messing around with different types of colors, different types of palettes, seeing which, getting an understanding, a feeling for what works, how it works and stuff. And yeah, so I hope you have a base for what you're going to be doing this week, 2 weeks, whatever, and see you later, fam.